What's up, YouTube? So the new Porsche 911 Turbo S is out because clearly Porsche thought that now was the time to reinvent that bad boy. However, I've always loved myself a Porsche 911 Turbo. Now, what you might find in this video, I might be referring to the brand as a Porsche or a Porsche. I grew up in the United Kingdom, so therefore we always called it a Porsche. It is an incorrect way of actually pronouncing it. It should be Porsche, but essentially, you know what I mean. If you're really triggered by this, I guess you can take a contract out on my life, but let's just face it, it's not the most important thing in the world. Anyway, Porsche 911 Turbo, or Porsche 911 Turbo. Awesome car. I know there's a huge or swath of people out there that are going to turn around to me and say, well, Aaron, the GT cars are far more focused and on a track they are far more sublime. Well, each to their own. I fully understand where you guys and girls are coming from. And yes, the GT cars are far more focused and probably a lot more fun to drive, perhaps. But for me, as an avid car enthusiast, I've always loved the Porsche 911 Turbo S and have never really got round to getting my own. I'll be honest, the main factor that has prevented me from getting one of those is, well, you know, money. But essentially, well, it's a very expensive car. So what I thought, instead of actually going to a Porsche dealership and whacking down a great big deposit that I can't afford on a car that I would love to have, but again, can't afford, I'll do what I do best, which is go onto the interwebs and waste an exorbitant amount of time on the car configurator, specking up my my ultimate Porsche 911 Turbo S. You never know. Maybe at some point I might win the lottery. Yes, I realize that I would need to start playing the lottery first, but I might get around to it. But essentially, at some point, perhaps I might buy this Porsche 911 Turbo S. Might as well have my favorite specification to hand, money no object to one side, and see what we can kind of come up with. So I've gone handily to the Porsche website. So it's the Porsche North America site that we're looking at. So we can get the figures in dollars and see what sort of affordable Porsche 911 Turbo S that we can come up with. So if we scroll down, so we've got the 911s on this page here. So all models. So we'll go to build your Porsche. So we've got yeah, we go. We've got a good selection of Porsche 911s that we can go for. We've got the Cabriolets and the Carrera 4s, Carrera 4S. Scroll. Oh, these are nice. The Heritage 4Ss. Isn't that lovely? It definitely does hark back to some of the more beautiful cars of the 70s, I would say. Okay, this is where we're at. This is where the money is. Literally, look at the prices. Oh my god! So we've got the 911 Turbo, which is the the bog standard basic bottom of the barrel 911 Turbo, starting at $170,000 and going up to $183,000 for, well, it's effectively taking the jaws of life to the roof of the car, but just done at the factory. And if we go further on from that, we've got the 911 Turbo S, which is a mere $203,500. That's difficult to say. Anyway, so let's go with that bad boy. Okay, so what we're presented with is a white option, which is actually a free option, but also I note that the metallic options are also free, which is nice. The custom colors are $3,200 or thereabouts. Okay, so if we came down from the clouds a little bit and spoken about these custom colors, they may look wonderful, but if it's completely custom, if it's specific to the car, there may be one problem with going with this route or down this route, which is if there was a small fender bender or something like that, the insurance company will have a wait of a time trying to match the color to the car itself, because it wouldn't necessarily be straight off the shelf. And I think to insure such cars with the special paints could mean that you're ending up with an excess amount of insurance to pay. But then, who am I? If we can afford paying $200,000 for a 911 Turbo S, that's the starting price. I think we can probably afford the excessive insurance that is associated with the special colors. I would probably go for a green. That would be a huge mistake, by the way, because green cars don't necessarily hold their value as well. But again, we're in cloud cuckoo land. We're looking to spec up a $200,000 Porsche. Why not go for a green? And that's a beautiful olive green. That's a deep green on that. So I do like that. The next option, I do love the actual alloys that the car comes with. So the rims, I think you guys call it, which I think is a really weird word to use, because rim has a different connotation where I come from. But anyway, we're looking at it. So it's got the quad exhaust pipes, which is okay. So these are kind of angular in their design, which I like. But I do like the oval ones, and I believe there's an actual option that we can go for that will mean that this car has the oval exhaust pipes. That kind of harks back to the massive ovals that the RS cars have or have had in the past, made by Audi. As you know, Porsches, Audis, Lamborghinis, Volkswagens, Seat, Skoda are all in the same group of cars. Actually, Bugatti too. So therefore, I presume they're going to be sharing a lot of different materials in between these cars. But anyway, I digress. Apologies. Let's move on. So we've got the rims. I do like the rims that the car comes with. We can actually go for a turbo exclusive design, which is the 5-spoke. I've always loved 5-spoke alloys, and these particular ones kind of hark back to the performance cars of the 90s. Would I go for it? I don't know. What do you guys and girls think? This one is actually quite pretty. So these sets of rims, these would be the standard ones that the car comes with. These ones would be classed as 10-spoke, made to look like 5-spoke alloys. And I think I would go for this one. I know that the standard ones have a center cap that makes it look as though it's got that single nut that you can sort of, it's almost like a Carrera GT-esque nut that you could use to take the wheel off and on back onto the car. As much as I love that, as I said, I grew up in the 90s, and these particular alloys, again, it's a no-cost option, probably speak to me a little bit more. I love the interior being dark and black and leather, so that's something that I would probably keep. And if we kind of went along and looked at the seats, so there's the sports seats, the power seats. I'm actually not too fussed about power seats, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I'd rather get the manual seats and save the weight on the electrical. I know I'm talking saving weight, and someone's going to get triggered and say, "Oh, GT3." No. I'd rather just save the weight of the electrical motor. I don't necessarily like them, and also, why have power seats? Once you've set the seat as a driver, let's face it, how often do you then readjust? I digress. It's just old man whining and whinging. Apologies. Let's move on. So we don't want the power seats. The sports seats plus 4-way. Ooh, again, we've so far seen rims and 4-way, but anyway, let's move on. Packages. We're interested in that. So exclusive manufacture leather interior. It's only $10,000. What does that look like? Yeah, I can do without that. Let's move on. Heritage Design Interior Package Pure. What does that look like? Oh, that's quite nice. Would I pay nigh on $8,000 for it? Nah. Let's move on. Performance. So we can get the PASM Sport Suspension lowered by 10 millimeters. I'll be honest, couldn't care less. Sports exhaust system, tailpipes and silver. This is actually what I was talking about. So if we actually go to a shot of the car that's showing us the exhaust pipes, I believe if I click the sports exhaust system, tailpipes and silver, we're going to see those exhaust pipes change. Ooh, exciting stuff. Let's check it out. Yeah, look at those. Matt Watson's stick of truth. Probably put Matt Watson's fist of truth in those. Anyway, if we keep going, power steering plus, not interested. Lights and vision, LED matrix design headlights in black, Porsche dynamic light. Okay, so what does that do? So if we get to a shot of the front of the car, okay, so it changes the interior surround of the actual headlights themselves. Not interested. I like the lighter ones. I feel that it complements the rims a little bit better. So we can save some money on that. Not necessarily that we need to. If we check the clear tail light option, let's see what that does. Ooh, I like that, but it doesn't. That ticking that option, which is about $1,000, doesn't necessarily create a clear light cluster on the brake assembly and the bottom reflectors. So if we look at the bottom of the bumpers here on either side, we've got those red reflectors. Although this part looks very neat and tidy, it doesn't necessarily reflect onto these parts or the third brake light. So I would probably avoid it because I feel that the red across the middle, the small amount of red across the top, and the red reflectors are a better option. Perhaps with different colors on the car, that might work with the clear sort of rare light cluster. But anyway, let's move on. Interior wise, ionizer. Why would I want to be ionized? I'm perfectly happy with the number of electrons I have. Anyway, use of ionization technology to improve air quality in the vehicle interior. Ionization reduces the microbial and pollutant content of the air. This increases the quality of the air inside the cabin and can have a positive impact on well-being. I'm not entirely sure I would go for this. It's only $350. It just sounds a little bit like hogwash. I wonder if this is the same system they would put into their vans, but essentially they wouldn't call it an ionizer. They would call it something like charcoal filtration, which is a little bit of coal. I mean, ionizer makes it sound as though it's worth that $350, but in the vans, in the Volkswagen Group vans back in Europe, that's a 35 euro option or thereabouts, or maybe €100 option. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna avoid that because it seems superfluous. Ambient lighting. Let's see, ambient lighting. Okay, so there's some extra lighting on near the mirror assembly and the door panels. It seems I can probably avoid that as well. Heated steering wheel, a must in any car. Any car, all cars must come with heated steering wheel. Doesn't matter where you live. It could be the desert of Arizona. Heated steering wheel, the way forward. Telling you, well worth that $0. I'd be a $0 option. Who on earth? Anyway, I'm about to go off on a rant. I stopped myself. Storage package, I wouldn't necessarily want storage. Well, wouldn't really need the storage, I would imagine, but let's just see what the hell that looks like. Oh, the storage option is a map holder. Let's skip that. I'm not entirely sure I'd want that or need that, or it actually makes it look a bit weird. Less tidy, actually. The footwell has this little cluster. Anyway, let's move on. Fire extinguisher. I think every Porsche should come with a fire extinguisher. Yeah, let's go for that one. Let's get the fire extinguisher. Why not? We've been restraining ourselves as we go through this particular build. So we've got the changed rims to a five-spoke alloy. So 20-inch at the front, 21-inch at the back. We've actually opted for the fire extinguisher in the interior of the car, and we've gone for the sports exhaust pipes, which it just looks amazing. Those exhaust outlets are the dog's dangly bits. Seat belts in Bordeaux red. Well, I actually have some family in Bordeaux, well, from Bordeaux, and the only red I like from there is the wine. So let's just avoid that one. Seat belts in chalk. I'm not entirely sure chalk seat belts will be as safe as actually the fabric ones. Just saying, Porsche, I would probably avoid that. Perhaps a safety issue. Sports chrono stopwatch dial in white. Okay, so the car already comes with the sports chrono dial on top of the dashboard itself, and to turn it white is $420. But I'm not going to go for that in my fantasy Porsche, primarily because the car's instrument cluster is predominantly in black, and therefore the sports chrono having a black background makes more sense. Unless if we option it and okay, I thought it would turn the rev counter background for the rev counter white as well, but it doesn't. It just changes the sports chrono bit into white, so that is a in my opinion an unnecessary option. Let's keep going. Central tachometer in lizard green. Ooh, lizard green. I like that. Lizard green, very 918 spidery lizard green. Yep, I'd go for that. $420. Yeah. How can you say no? Because we're getting the whole car in green. To have something inside that's lizard green is the way forward. Perhaps I might also get myself a pet gecko. Moving on. Smoking package. I don't smoke. No need for that. Interior leather. The car already comes with leather. They give you so many different options. That center console lid with model designation. Just in case I forget which model I've bought, yes, I'm likely to do that. Having spent north of $200,000, I'm going to forget the car I bought. Even if I forget it, my bank balance probably wouldn't. So let's face it, don't need that. Porsche crest on headrests. You mean I'm buying this car, paying all that money, and I don't even have a crest of Porsche on the headrest? No, as my French side of the family would say. Let's keep moving. Air vent surround and air vent slats. These are boring options. I mean, imagine sitting there with a salesperson talking through, well, sir, would you like your sun visor in leather? I don't know why the salesperson is French, but he is on this particular occasion. Imagine having to tediously go through all of that. Either you're rich enough to say, look, dude, put whatever options you like on the car, stop talking to me, here's some money, and bring it to me as soon as possible. Or the other option is going to be, I am never going to buy a Porsche ever, primarily because you've just wasted 14 and a half hours of my time talking to me about lizard green surrounds on bezels and blah blah blah. I'm getting bored speccing it and I can't actually afford to buy it. Imagine the types of people who have money to buy this car and how much pressure they would have on their time, and they're going to sit there listening to this crap. I think Porsche are shooting themselves in the foot. Just do it like Hyundai. Fit all the options. You're already charging an arm and a leg for the car and a small village, really. And just move on. Interior race text. Okay, so we've got more belt options. This is bloody ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, let's just take it as said that this is the car that I would go for. I can't be bothered with any of the other options. $208,940 plus shipping and probably tax somewhere. The entirety of the equipment that I've actually opted for is about $4,000 or for almost $4,100. And if we were to estimate a monthly payment, let's see what that would look like. So let's see, my down payment just shy of $21,000. Total amount due from customer at lease signing. So essentially I would put down $25,000 and then my monthly lease payment would be $3,000 for this car. It's not that bad. Still not going to get it. But it's good to dream. Thanks everyone for joining me on this little journey, and I'll see you in my next procrastination break, which, let's face it, Naomi is going to be sometime soon. Peace.